Hi, it's me. There will be no introduction to this video because I am bad at introductions. Um, as a fair word of warning, this video is long, probably too long, and mostly because I am not good at making short videos, and also because the actual process I am showing is long and time consuming. The unedited video for the editing of only one channel of one map is 28 minutes long for one channel, for one map, meaning doing this whole process for three maps, for a face or a body, will take you hours. So, before I start, I already prepared the base map and the two maps that have elements I want to add to that base map. Those maps being a Cambion map with ridges and a map with a lot of scars. So today, the main map is the one called Green. It is the main map. It is a tiefling face map to which I will add ridges and scars. So because I am going to work on the green channel, I only need to work on the other two maps we can see below, named J and J number 1, are the map with the ridges and with the scars. So we can now get started for real. No more introduction, even though I said there would be no introduction. I believe everything is out of the way to finally get started. To really get started editing, we need to add a layer mask to the base map. Doing so will allow us to mask in the elements we want. So I am starting with the Cambion ridges. What I am doing first is actually not showing the main map because I don't need it at the moment. I am editing in the layer mask only. And what I am doing right now is tracing the outline of those ridges with the airbrush at a very low hardness and force, just so I have a nice outline to get started with. Tracing an outline like this allows me to have a better idea of where those new elements will show up exactly on the base map, and also act as a guide for using the pencil, which is really what we want to use to have the full effect and the full part of this map. So now that I have the outline, I just go over it with a pencil and just mask in really this part. It's really important. The outline is not necessary, but I find it better to just guide the hand a little bit, especially um, for the last part of it. So I usually like to trace the pencil between on the layer mask itself or without looking at the layer mask, just like this. And we can see how much of a difference it makes to use the pencil versus the airbrush. But the airbrush is also important. It's an important tool. Arguably, it is the most important tool in this method is the airbrush itself. I usually use the pencil to really get the main details in to their full scale and color texture. But as you can see, the Cambion ridges have a very different texture, and if I were to just use the pencil, it wouldn't look good because the edges are too harsh, and the texture difference between the base map and the Cambion map is too different. It wouldn't look good in game in the final result. So this is where I go back to the airbrush and start going around the edges and blend them in. I go with a very low force and low hardness to really blend the edges. The goal here is to blend the hard edges of the pencil so we have a nice gradient of texture that will truly mix well with the base map. So this is the part that is the most time consuming of it, is going over the harsh ridges and the harsh lines and making sure they blend well. I will probably speed this part up because once you've seen it, you've seen all of it. And it is really just making sure everything blends as seamlessly as possible. Once I am happy with how the ridges are integrated on the base map, all I need to do is merge down the two maps. That will create a new map with the base map and the map with the ridges and the layer mask that adds them to the base map. And then we can move on to doing the exact same process for the scars. So once again, for the scars, I do the same. I go back to the base map and add a layer mask. And then I just, well, choose the scars I want to add onto that face. Lots of scars to choose from this map itself. And then it's going to be the same process over again. Tracing the outline and then going over the outline with a pencil just so we have the full texture. Not using the pencil will make those, especially scars, look faded. They won't look as nice as the original scars and they will look especially more flat. I feel it's important to use the pencil as much as possible to keep the original grayscale color to have as much depth as possible for all the scars so that they look as much 3D as possible. And then we go all over again, fill in the gaps. I trace the outline with the airbrush and then I go over the outlines with a pencil and then fill in the rest. And then we'll blend the hard edges with the airbrush. And this is it. This is all there is to this method. Very simple. It is just time consuming and slow, but the results are pretty good. And this is the method I use for pretty much all of the scars I've made on the faces I've published so far. And that includes the head experiment scars, which were arguably the most time consuming ones I've made, since the scars are very extensive and complex in shape and size. I believe the process to make a whole face, so that includes all three maps and all the channels, took me about 4 hours total. This is how long this process can take you. But like I said before, this is good not just for scars, but really any textures you want to use. I believe it is worth the time it takes to do. But really, it is up to you to do it or take what you want from this. Really, it is just uh really I just recorded this because some people in Discord seem to be interested in the actual method of it. So, yeah, this is my little unoptimized, time consuming method to make seamless card textures. Voila! Now you know.